Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hita. I'm 12 social science and I'm gonna presentation about Batik Yogyakarta. Before I start the presentation, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to my English teacher, Mr. Arifin, Miss Himti, and Miss Nazila. Without their knowledge, I would not have been able to reach this point. The purpose of this presentation, telling about culture, to study culture, to preserve culture, to provide knowledge about culture. Introduction about batik. Batik is pictorial Indonesian cloth that is specially made by breathing or applying wax on the cloth, then processing it in a certain way that has its own characteristic. Fabric art techniques that are similar to batik are actually found in several cultures such as in Nigeria, China, India, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and other regions in Indonesia. This time I will discuss about batik cloth originating from Yogyakarta. The existence of typical Yogyakarta batik itself cannot be separated from the history of the founding of the revival of the Islamic Mataram Kingdom, which was built by Panembahan Senopati. During the struggle to establish Mataram, Panembahan Senopati often meditated on practice along the southern coast of Java Island. It is said that the landscape and scenery of the place, which is decorated by the wave crashing against the rows of cliff or coral walls, has inspired him to create the batik matched pattern. This motif later became one of the characteristics of Mataram clothing. In 1755, the Gianti Agreement split the Sultanate of Mataram into two, namely the Surakarta Senin, and the Yogyakarta Sultanate. All existing royal treasure, including cultural heritage, are divided into the two areas, especially for the completeness of the clothes of the Mataram. Place including batik wholly owned by the Yogyakarta Palace. The unique is still maintained until now. Both motif and colors this batik pattern, which is dominated by the color of batik, was still limited in the place environment. Batik activities are part of the education of noble daughter within the place walls. The most subtle introduction to aesthetic to mastery of complex batik technique is from of education, it tests patience and perseverance. And kinds of batik motif. There is a semen motif, parang motif, batik ceplok kesatrian motif, and nitik motif. The philosophy of the motif cement comes from the word semi, which means bird. The cement motif group implies the emergence of a new life full of hope and goodness and happiness. Cement motifs have main components which can generally consist of land, sea, and water life. Land life is symbolized by mountains, plains, or land animals. Then aquatic life is symbolized by scales, fish, or other aquatic animals. Then air life is symbolized by winds or bird. 2. Motif batik parang. The philosophy behind this motif is humans to always improve themselves inner maturity by learning a lot, reducing mistake, and increasing knowledge. In addition, batik parang also has a philosophy so that someone has a strong determination and is not easily discouraged. 3. We have motif batik ceplok kesatrian. The ceplok motif is in the form of geometric pattern that is arranged repeatedly. These shapes include circles, squares, oval, triangle, and the others. This geometric pattern is combined with flora and fauna. There are several types of fried rice, including the kawung motif, makara box, Kesatrian, Purponegara Ceplok, and others. The philosophical meaning contained in the fried rice motif is based on the shape or component of the motif contained in each batik. 4. We have motif nitik. Batik nitik is a batik with an intellectual property gift of geographical indication. Uniquely, the canting used in nitik batik has a special shape, namely the end of the canting nitik is a stripping, not dragging. Motif is nitik no kusari, nitik cloud, nitik and more are styled from flow to geometric pattern. The first Paul Molani, after paint with wax, using a chanting by following the pattern. The next stage, covering with wax the part that will remain white. The next stage, the first coloring process on the part that is not covered by wax by dipping the cloth in certain color. After dipping, the cloth is dried in the sun and dried. After drying, we do the batik process, namely painting with wax using a chanting to cover the parts that will be preserved in the first coloring. After coat is clean of wax and dry, the batik process can be carried out again by closing the wax using chanting tool to hold the first and second colors. The process of opening and closing the night candle can be done repeatedly according to the number of colors and the complexity of the desired motif. The next process is ngorot, where the cloth that has changed color is pulled in the hot water. The last process is to wash the batik cloth and then dry it. Benefits of this presentation is one can manifest love for Indonesian and concern for the preservation art, especially batik, can know the cultural values that are passed down to the nation generation, can help shape the character to be more responsible. Thank you for your effort. There are mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita